Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever that you have joined us. To respect the time of the people who have joined, we are going to start. This is a special webinar done by a special corporate trainer from Malaysia, Ellen. Ellen doesn't want to show his face, but he is a renowned corporate trainer, and he is going to teach us on pivot tables. So Ellen, if you are ready, I'll stop sharing and then you can start. Just respect the time of the people who have joined. When others come, I think you are going to continue. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm great.
Yeah. You want to introduce yourself, or is that enough introduction and then we can start?
Yeah, I'm just a random dude. Maybe I just turn on my camera for a while so that you can see my face and whatnot. So yeah, that's me. I'm from Malaysia. So it's about, I think, 9 p.m. in Malaysia. So you can say good evening or good night. All right. So nevertheless, so like what you said, we don't want to keep people waiting. We just want them
Yeah.
to just get the information. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Crispo, for this organizing this session, and thank you everybody for attending this session as well. But I just want to know, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear my voice, maybe can you show some emoji or can you type number one into my chat box? If you can hear the voice, or you can actually whatnot, so you can show some emoji and so on. And more importantly, can you see the screen? Because I'm sharing a screen right now. So if you can see the screen, maybe can you show some emoji? Or perhaps you can also show type number two in the chat box. Okay, if you can see the screen and so on. So I see there's thumbs up and whatnot. All right, so my dear friends, what we will learn today is about understanding pivot table. I understand, of course, Microsoft 365 has introduced new features, new functions, new formulas, and some people, there's a YouTube video on whereby we don't have to use pivot table anymore. There's a new feature and whatnot. But I think it's better for us to gauge on this pivot table to understand how what pivot table can offer in the world of data analytics and whatnot. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So basically, I'll be using this file. This is the revision file. So Crispo, I just want to know that does all the audience have this file?
I have shared on WhatsApp group, and I think most of the audience are on the WhatsApp group. Otherwise, I'll share it when I will share it with the recording. So I
All
think
right,
you
all
can
right.
continue, and then because I'm recording the session.
All right, that's good. Thank you so much, Crispo. Okay, so thank you, Crispo. So this will be the file that I'll be using. So let's get started. Okay, so now what we do is we will be learning and we will be understanding the context of pivot table. See, I use the acronym pivot table as S, A, and P. Okay, so if this is too small, maybe I'll just go to my PowerPoint slide. I will use this like my whiteboard. Okay, like when you have a teacher explaining on a whiteboard. So I will use this in as a whiteboard. So when you talk about pivot table, you have S, A, P. Okay, so pivot table can do S, A, and P. So what is SAP? Well, my dear friends, in pivot table, S means summary. We can use pivot table to create a summary, a summarized data. We can also use pivot table to do analysis. And finally, we can use pivot table to do presentation. So pivot table can offer S, A, and P, whereby S for summary, A for analysis, and P for presentation. So this is about pivot table, what they can offer and what not. And then if you want to know what is the steps, how am I supposed to hand over or maneuver this pivot table? No worries, I will show you. Okay, so how to play around the pivot table. How to play around the pivot table. Okay, step number one. What you need to do is you need to place your active cell on the table or on the data. Okay, to just let you know, the step number one is you need to place your active cell on the table or on the data. Number two, in your keyboard, there is a control button, there is A button. So if you press Control A, it will highlight the entire table. You can try this on your MacBook or you can try this in your normal Windows laptop. Okay, so you can try Control A will highlight the entire table. And then step number 3, if you are using a mouse, you can actually click insert, and then after clicking insert, you can actually click pivot table. Okay. After this, I think after a few exercises, I'll teach you the keyboard shortcut for inserting towards the pivot table. But for now, we will go slowly to use our mouse to maneuver this pivot table. And then once you click pivot table, you will notice that a box will appear. Okay, a box will appear, and then you just press OK. And then once you press OK, you will be navigated to a new sheet. Navigated to a new sheet, and on the right hand side of the new sheet, you will have pivot table field. Okay, pivot table field will exist. Okay, so this is the notes that I'm writing so that you can get a picture. But no worries, I'll put this note together right at the side of this database and whatnot. Okay, so this is the note. So maybe let me make it smaller. Okay, so I'll just format paint for everything, and there you go. Okay, just do one more time. Okay. So this is the data. Maybe I'll just make it smaller and whatnot. Okay, so all the spellings are quite big. Now, let me just make it smaller and make it smaller. All right, there you go. So now what you see is, first step is place your active cell on the table. So what is active cell? If you notice over here, there is a green color box over here. If I put over here, this green color box is the active cell. So my friends, can you show thumbs up if you can see this active cell? Okay, you can show thumbs up. All right. So what I'll do is I will place my active cell on the table. See, you place your active cell on the table. The second step is Control A. In your keyboard, there is a control button. There is a A button. So when you press Control A, it will automatically highlight the entire table. And then you use your mouse. That means you place your cursor on Insert. As you can see over here, we have Insert. And then what we do is we click on Pivot Table. So when we click on pivot table, when I click it over here, you will notice that a box will appear. As you can see over here, a box will appear. And then what you do is you press OK. So the moment you press OK, you will go to new worksheet. Okay, but before I proceed, anyone got any questions? Because I just hear some noise. Okay, so anyone got any questions?
I think people will need to mute.
Oh,
Unmute them
okay,
up.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is, okay, so once a box will appear, you just press OK, and you will go to a new sheet. So when you press OK, you go to a new sheet. On the right hand side, you have pivot table field. So when I press OK, so you will notice on the right hand side, we have pivot table field. So on this pivot table field, we have the headers like employee name, states, date, type of insurance, and RM. So where it is this header? This header is actually belongs all over here. So right now, for those who know pivot table, they will find this is very basic. But what I'm trying to educate is pivot table can do S, A, and P. So what is SAP? S for summary, A for analysis, and P for presentation. So if just say in this data, your manager wants to know a monthly report. So what you do is you go to your sheet 1, you just tick on date. When you tick on date, automatically the data will show a monthly format. Unless if you are using Microsoft Excel 2007 or Microsoft Excel 2010, it will show you the list of date. But if you are using the latest version, it will show you all the months. And then what you need to do is you just tick the RM. Since I'm from Malaysia, so in Malaysia, the currency we use is RM, Ringgit Malaysia. So right now, when if just say I zoom over here, we can see that this is our summary, because in level 1, we do have the employee name, we do have the employee ID, we have the list of states, we have the dates, the insurance claim, and RM. But in sheet 1, you see, we do have the summarize, whereby we have the monthly report. But what if just say your manager wants to know about the quarter report? So you just right click on the January, you right click, you go to group. GROUP. So basically pivot table can create a summary not only in a monthly report. So when you click group, so we can actually choose in many different formats, whether we want by daily report, monthly report, or even quarter report. So I'll unselect the days, I unselect the months. So if just say your manager wants quarter report, you select quarter, you press OK. So right now you will have a quarter report. And the thing is, what if they say your manager wants a weekly report? Because companies in US, like for example, they have Walmart, and in UK they have Tesco. Companies in US and UK, especially grocery industry, they have daily transaction. A company that's involved in daily transaction, of course, the manager wants to see on weekly performance. So how to check this on weekly basis? Well, what we can do is we press right click, we go to group, and then what we do is we unselect the quarter. But if we look carefully, we do have years, we do have quarter, we do have months, we do have days. We don't have weeks. So what we do is we select the days. Of course, we are not going to press OK immediately. What we will do is we will change to 7 days. Why? Because if the manager wants weekly report, in 1 week, we have 7 days. So I put here 7 days and I press OK. So now you will have a weekly report. So in pivot table, we can create a summary, be it in a weekly report, be it in a quarter report, or even we can want it to produce in a monthly report also can. So that is why I'll say that pivot table can do S, A, and P, whereby S is for summary, A for analysis, and P for presentation. So now if just say you look over here, now what I want to do is I want to do analysis. So what I'll do is I'll just put the RM. I will select this, drag it, and put it at the values. Okay, maybe I need to do one more time so that everyone can get a picture. Okay, for some, maybe I'm going too fast. No worries, I'll try to do again. So I will select the RM. I will use my mouse. I select the RM, drag it, and put it at the values. So that right now you will have 2 RM. So some of you will ask me, Alan, why are you doing two RMs or 2 different columns? Basically, what I want to do is I want to do analysis. You see, pivot table can do several analysis. Analysis means in the form of allocation. Analysis can be in the form of trending. Analysis can be in the form of cumulative. So allocation, also known as apportionment. So we can also use pivot table to determine the apportionment or the allocation. What does it mean? That means number one is I place my active cell on cell C4. Okay, what is active cell? Active cell is the green color box over here. This is what they call as the active cell. What is cell C4? As we can see over here, this is column C and this is row 4. So if we are talking about the coordinates, we are referring to cell C4. Okay, and then what number 2? Number 2 is you use your mouse and you press right click. So if just say you have a keypad, you press right click on the keypad. If you are using your mouse, you can press right click. But if you are a fan of keyboard shortcut will be Shift F10. Okay, either you need to press the function key, so Shift F10, or you can use the mouse and press right click. Either way it works. So when you press right click, you go to show value as. So when you go to show value as, and then number 4, you go to percentage of grand total. Percentage of grand total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it and put it over here so that the audience can see what is the notes. So what is the step 1 is place my active cell on C4. I put it over here and then I use my mouse and press right click. So I use my mouse and press right click. So when I press right click, I will go to show value as. So over here, we don't have show value as. Well, you need to go down, as you can see here, show value as. And then you click percentage of grand total. So the second one is percentage of grand total. So when you click this, you will see the allocation or apportionment of each month. So basically, you can use this to determine the apportionment in the form of percentage for each inventories, each customers, and whatnot. All right, so now we get an understanding. So we can use pivot table to do analysis in the form of allocation. We can also use pivot table to do the analysis in the form of training to determine whether the data has increased or decreased. What does it mean? Well, let me show you. So number 1 is I place my active cell on C4, on the cell of C4, and then I use my mouse and I press right click. Okay, you want to use Shift F10 also can, or you want to press right click also can, up to you, which one you feel comfortable. And then number 3 is show value as. Number 4, you click percentage difference from. Number 5, once you click percentage different from, a small box will appear. A small box will appear. And then number 6, just look for base item. In the base item, I want you to choose previous. I want you to choose previous. And number 7, you press OK. So it looks tedious. It looks a lot. But no worries. I will try to guide you so that you can actually get the steps. So let me just show you so that you can get understanding. So number 1 is place my active cell. Okay, active cell. Maybe I'll just revert my notes. Active cell on C4. That means I put it on C4 and then I use my mouse and press right click. So use my mouse, press right click, and then I go to show value as. So over here, we have show value as. And then you click on percentage different from. So if you can't see this, okay, if you can't see this percentage different from, what you can do is you can actually go over here, percentage different from, over here, okay, percentage different from. Okay, it's not at the top, it's over the middle towards the lowest. So you click it over here, and then if you notice, the moment you click percentage different from, a small box will appear. A small box will appear. So my friends, can you show thumbs up if you can see this small box over here? All right, so to answer the comment in the chat box, like what Crispo said, of course, the notes will be given to you all during the session later. All right, so a small box will appear. So most of them, they will ask me what I need to do with base field. Well, in this context, what I wrote is base item. I didn't write anything on base field. So you can ignore the base field, but you can focus on base item. Base item, you choose previous. So item, I go to previous. Where is previous? Previous at the top. So when I choose previous and I press OK, you will notice that this is what they call as trending. What does it trending means? Well, let us look a case study. You see here, if you look carefully, on January, in January, the transaction is 45,800. In February, the transaction is 39,010. So my friends, can anybody type in the chat box? So in February, does the data increase or decrease? Because if you look here, January is 45,000. February is 39,000. So can anybody type in the chat box? So in the February, do you notice, is it an increase or is it a decrease? So if it's increase, so maybe perhaps you can type IN in the chat box. If the data decrease, you can type DE in the chat box. So if you look carefully, in January, we have 45,840. In February, we have 39,010. So basically, there is a reduction in the data. And if you notice, so thank you, friends. Some of you are typing D. So if you notice carefully, what happened is there is a reduction. Reduction means reduction by 15% or specifically reduction by 14.9%. Okay, let me ask one more question. In February, we have 39,000. In March, we have 47,000. So now my question is, in March, is it increase or is it decrease? If increase, please type IN. If decrease, please type DE. Okay, maybe I need to repeat one more time. So if you notice, February is 39,000 and March is 47,000. So there is an increase by 21%. So when I say pivot table can do S, A, and P, what I mean is S for summary. As you can see just now, that is a summary. But of course, there's a lot of versions you can try and whatnot. And the second thing I told you is analysis. Analysis means you can either analyze by the allocation or you can analyze by the looking at the trending. So what we do is we choose previous. Why we choose previous? Because we want to compare with the previous data, with the previous month, so that we want to understand whether the data has increased or decreased over the months. Now, let us go to the third example. So the third thing that we can do in pivot table is we can analyze by determining the cumulative or accumulated. Okay, it can be accumulated. Okay, it depends on what term you want to use. So it's accumulated, or it can be in the form of, okay, or cumulative, or it can be in the form of year to date. It depends. Okay, year to date or accumulated and whatnot. So if either terms, it's just the same meaning. So what you do is, first one is place the active cell on where? On C4. So if you don't know what is active cell, as you can see here, the green color box over here, this is the active cell. So you put it where? You put on C4. Where is C4? The coordinates of C4. That means column C and row number 4, which is over here. Why I say over here? Because you can actually put anywhere over here. Not necessarily C4, anywhere on the second column. Okay, but I just put this note so that it's convenient for you and whatnot. Number 2 is you use your mouse and you press right click. Okay, and then the third step is show value as, and then the fourth one is running total in. Okay, not percentage, it's just running total in. And then after that, number 5, you will notice that a small box will appear, and once the small box appear, you don't have to press anything, you just have to press OK. So let me just do it one more time so that you can get a picture. Okay, wait, let me just do this. Okay, so let me just cut and paste it over here so that you can see the note. Okay, step number 1 is place the active cell on C4 and then use your mouse and press right click. So use your mouse and press right click, and then what you do is you go to show value as. So where is show value as? It's not here. It's not here. It's at the lowest, at the bottom. So you see show value as and you click running total in. So where is running total in? Well, it is over here. Okay, we are not going to select the percentage. We will just select the running total in. We select running total in, and then a small box will appear, and then you just have to press OK. So once you press OK, so what you will see is you will see the cumulative. What is cumulative? Well, in January, the total expenses is 45,000. In February, the expenses is 39,000. But when you add up, you have about 84,000, which means that this data over here, the accumulated is 84,000. Meaning to say, if just say I plus B4 plus with B5, you get 84,850. So if when I put B4 plus with B5 and B6, so you will get this data over here. So if just say your manager wants to know as of August, as of August means, that means in August, the total expenses is 41,000. But as of August, the total from January to August is 353,000. So that's the interesting thing of pivot table. Not only it can create a summary, you can also use pivot table to create an analysis as well, whether in the form of allocation or trending or cumulative. So my friends, did you learn something new? If you learn something new, maybe can you type yes in the chat box, or maybe you can show some fire emoji if you want. Okay, if you learn something new and so on. Okay, just let me know, my dear friends. If I'm going too fast like a bullet train, I can actually try to slow down as well so that to really make you understand. All right, try my best to actually make you understand fully. And most importantly, not only you understand, you can remember and apply this on your work or your portfolio and whatnot. All right, so now at least we understand what pivot table can do. But if you remember, what I told you is pivot table can do S, A, and P, whereby S for summary, A for analysis, P for presentation. So now I'm going to teach on presentation. So what I'll do is I'll try to remove this. I will try to remove the sum of RM because this will be redundant. I just want to create a pivot chart. So I don't want another thing. So these notes, I'll just try to put it somewhere here. Okay, so don't worry, this file will be given to you. So you'll have before and after. So before you can have a version on before the session, and after is my completed answers. Okay, so now let's get started. We will learn that pivot table can do P. P is presentation. And it's just not a simple presentation. It can be in the form of interactive presentation. What is interactive presentation? That means if you change the data or change the slicer, we can get a dynamic presentation as well. Well, number 1 is we place the active cell on B4. Because just now I have removed this, so we put at B4. But not necessarily you have to put in B4. You can actually put at A4 or B8 and whatnot. Why is the situation? Because if just say I put it on a blank cell, I'm not able to access to the pivot table analyze. I'm not able to access to the designer. I'm not able to see the pivot table field. But if just say I put my cursor on B4 or even B10, I am able to access to pivot table analyze. I'm able to access design, and the pivot table field is visible. So that is why you need to put the active cell not only in B4, somewhere in the pivot table. Okay, because some people might memorize, they might think you can only put in B4. Not necessary. You can put somewhere in the pivot table. As long anywhere in the pivot table, that should be fine. Okay, so this node is still blocking. So what I'll do is maybe I'll still put it here. Okay, so this is the nodes. Then what is the second node? The second node is once we place the active cell on B4 or anywhere on the pivot table, we use our mouse and we click on pivot table analyze. We use our mouse and we click on pivot table analyze. Once you click on pivot table analyze, you click on pivot chart. If you cannot see where is the pivot chart, it is basically on the right hand side. Okay, right hand side. But this is quite tricky because for some version, it is not pivot table analyze. If you're using Excel 2010, the word will be just analyze only. Okay, just analyze only. So it's either you can click pivot table analyze, but if you cannot see the word, you just click analyze. Don't worry, I'll show you later. All right. And then number 4, once you click pivot chart, a big box will appear. So you just have to press OK. And once you press OK, automatically chart will appear. So once the chart will appear, what you need to do is you click on pivot chart analyze. Once you click on pivot chart analyze, number 7, you go to insert slicer. Once you click on insert slicer, number 8 is a long box will appear. A long box will appear, and then what you do is I want you to tick the states. I want you to tick the states. Okay, the reason why I put apostrophe because in this data we have states. But if just say when you talk about your report or your work or your portfolio, it could be different. Okay, so that is why I put apostrophe over here. So let's get started. This is the notes. So let's do one by one. Place the active cell on B4 or anywhere in the pivot table. So I will put it on B4 so that I can access on pivot table analyze, which is over here. Okay, just to let you know, if you are using Excel 2007, 2010, of course, it will not show pivot table analyze, but it will show as analyze. So you can click that as well. So you click on pivot table analyze. Once you click on pivot table analyze, I want you to click on pivot chart. Okay, where is pivot chart? Well, it's not on the left hand side. It is on the right hand side, which is over here. So like I told you, on the right hand side, we have pivot chart. We click it over here and then automatically a big box will appear. So as a big box will appear, and then you can just press enter or you can just press OK. So once you press OK, you will notice you will have a chart. Chart will appear. What you need to do is you need to click pivot chart analyze. So you click pivot chart analyze. Where is pivot chart analyze? Over here. Over here we have pivot chart analyze, and you click insert slicer. Where is insert slicer? Insert slicer is over here. So you click insert slicer. Like I said, when you click insert slicer, the moment you click insert slicer, a long box will appear. So this is a long box. So you need to tick on states. So if just say I select, when I select like this, I'm not able to press OK. When I select like this, I'm not able to press OK. So the keyword here is tick. Where you need to tick, you need to tick the box. You tick the box and you press OK. So once you press OK, so there you go. So if just say I click on any states, just say Maru. So when I click this, you notice it has changes. When I click this, you will notice it has changes. So this is what they mean as interactive presentation. So you can play around and whatnot. So that is why I will use the acronym of S, A, and P. Pivot table can create a summary. Pivot table can create an analysis. Pivot table can also create a presentation. So if just say we want to improvise the presentation, because if you notice, sometimes the purpose of presentation is to show to our bosses to make them understand what is the numbers, what is the trend and what not. So if you notice over here, this box appear, this box is redundant. Okay, maybe let me close this one. This one is not needed. So if you notice, this box is redundant, right? So what you can do is you can select this, right click, and you select hide all field. So this field button is not necessary. I can hide it. So the moment when I hide it, it becomes bigger. So when it comes bigger, so of course we do have the legend, we do have the lines, which is not necessary because I want to make it more beautiful. So I can click on the chart element. If you notice in our chart, we do have a T sign, which means chart element. We click it over here, we remove the legend, so it looks bigger. We remove the green line and we can put data label. So when we put data label, here you go. So of course the numbers like 11410, 600. So if just say I clear filter, so of course the number is not in a proper format. So what you can do is you can format the numbers. So right now what I do is I press right click and I can format the numbers. But if you look carefully, we have format cells. We also have number format. So sometimes some employees, they get confused. What is the difference between format cells and number format? Format cells means the keyword is formatting the specific cell. Format cell means formatting the specific cell. Number format means you will format the entire column or entire value. Meaning to say, if just say I were to select format cell, that means when I select this and just say I put accounting and I press OK, you will notice that only this particular cell will be formatted and the others will not be formatted. So format cell means you need to highlight. You need to highlight, right click, and then you click format cell because the keyword is format cell. It means formatting the specific cell. So if just say I want to format for entire values, what I need to do is I need to press right click. I go to number format because format cell will format the specific cell, but number format will format for everything bottom here. So I click number format, accounting. So I don't want symbol means I press none and I press OK. So now it looks better. But of course, even though you make an effort, you produce this, but it's of course, you see the numbers is blocking and so on. So what if just say I want to produce like, 45.84, something like in a short form, maybe like 45.84 or perhaps 39.0 or 47.32. Because the problem right now is we do have big numbers. Big numbers is not what our managers love to see. Our managers like to see the simplified format, right? So how we can impress our manager? Well, if we want to make a simplified data label, what you can do is, okay, I'll just write down so that if you can write down as well. So you can actually select the y-axis. Y-axis, or we can call it the vertical axis. So you may ask me what we are doing. We want to present our data label in a proper format. Proper format means because here we do have a lot of numbers. We want to format properly. So select the y-axis and then what we do is we go to use our mouse and press right click. Use our mouse and press right click. And then once you press right click, number 3 is what you do is you click on format axis. Once you click format axis, number 4, format axis pane will appear on the right. Will appear on the right hand side. And once it appear on the right hand side, number 5, what you do is you look for display units. So what happen is you select the y-axis, you use your mouse and press right click and click format axis. The keyword is click format axis. Where the format axis? Over here. At the bottom we have format axis. So when we click format axis, on the right hand side, format axis pane will appear. So we have the format axis pane. We need to look for display unit. So over here we have display unit and we just can choose, up to you. You want to choose 1000? So we have a simplified version. Or if you want to choose millions also can. But for our data, it's not relevant for millions because it's quite small. The amount is quite small. So we can actually choose billion. So when we choose, we can choose 1000. So when we choose 1000, so the y-axis also shows 1000 and the data label also shows 1000. Okay, so just to let you know, pivot table can do S, A, and P, where S for summary, A for analysis, and P for presentation. So my friends, did you learn something new? If you learned something new, can you type number 3 in the chat box? Okay, so if you learn something, you can just type number 3. If I'm going too fast like a bullet train, you can just type number 4 in the chat box. So maybe I can try to go as slow as possible so that you can actually understand and whatnot. So I see number 4 is typing. So okay, no worries. I can go slow as well. All right, so okay, no worries. I'll try to go slowly. But we are doing just now is just level 1. Okay, we have many different levels, many exciting parts because pivot table is a very, very big topic. I think it takes about 1 semester to cover the syllabus, but I'm doing it. Yes, I can share the workbook with the notes indicated. No worries, I'll share. Now we have a pivot table. This file is mastering pivot table. What I'll do is I will try to change it to after. Okay. So what I'll do is, okay, I'll go to level 2. No worries. I will try to teach you. Okay, so let me just zoom this so that you can see clearly. Okay, so let me just copy this and let me just paste it over here. Okay, so this is the data, but this time I want to do something different. What I want to do is I want to actually select existing sheet. Okay, existing sheet, and then after that on the right hand side, okay, wait, let me just change my notes. So on the right hand side we do have pivot table field list will appear. Okay, pivot table field will appear. All right, so this is the notes, so existing sheet. So make sure you can choose the location. So maybe I'll choose the location as maybe J1. Okay, so that people can see clearly what I mean and so on. Because I still need to show the basic, okay, because so that you can understand what is the pivot table and so on. Because just now I just show you S, A, and P. So right now you can understand what is pivot table, how it can summarize, how it can analyze, and how it can present. But the next part is I'll go deeper in the sense of I'm going so basic so that you can understand the foundation and whatnot. So place your active cell on the table. So you put it over here. Anywhere over here should be fine. And then you press Control A. In your MacBook also, you can try Command A or Control A. In a normal window laptop, you can also press Control A. So press Control A, you will highlight the entire table. And then you can use your mouse, click Insert, click Pivot Table. Click Insert, click Pivot Table. And then a box will appear. So the only difference is I want to choose existing worksheet. So I'm going to choose existing worksheet. So instead of we going to a new worksheet, I want to do in any of the current worksheet. But I want to choose specifically on the level 2 worksheet. So I'll just choose on J1. So existing worksheet, location, column J, row 1. And then when I press OK, so automatically you will see on the right hand side, we have pivot table field. So right now, if you are very new to pivot table, you might be wondering why we have filters, column, row, and values. So basically what I want to do is I want to guide you what is columns, what is row, what is value. But before that, we need to understand our data. Like you see in pivot table, originally our data we have year, we have segment, we have RM. Again, I repeat, we have year, we have segment, we have RM. The year comprises of numbers. The year comprises of numbers like 2021, 2022, 2023. The segment comprises of text. Text means like broadcasting, ticket attendance, price. Meanwhile, the RM over here is all about the values in the form of numbers. So basically in Excel, there are two types of data. It's either in the form of numbers or in the form of text. Like you see here, the year is 2021, 2022, 2023. The segment is in the form of text because why? What is text? Text is something that has letters or alphabets. That is text. Numbers where we have numbers like 53,000, 16,000, whatnot. So why I'm telling you this? You see here, when just say if just say I were to tick, when I tick the year, automatically it will go to the values. Why the years go to the value? Because the years are comprising of numbers. Numbers means like 2021, 2022, 2023. This is numbers. So when I tick here, automatically it will go to values. But when I tick the segment, automatically it will go to the row. Why segment will go to the row? Because segment comprise of letters. Segment comprise of alphabets. It is basically a words. But in IT, we don't use words. We use the word text. So all this is a text. Okay. So again, I repeat, if just say I select RM, you will notice that automatically it will go to the values. When I select segment, tick like that, it automatically go to rows. So my friends, do you understand so far this thing? Because if just say we tick the year, automatically it will go to the values. So you must understand whether your data is alphabet or numeric or alphanumeric. Alphanumeric automatically will go to the rows. So my friends, do you understand? If you understand, perhaps can you type yes or whatnot? So you must know whether your data is text or it's values and whatnot, because it depends on what you tick. Okay. So if just say I tick the year, automatically it will go to values. If just say I tick the segment, automatically it will go to the rows. Okay. This is number one. Number two, what is column? What is row and whatnot? Well, it's just like this, my friends. If I tick segment, automatically it will go to the rows. You see here in English, there's a topic called grammar. In grammar, there's a thing called singular and plural. So if you see here, rows, we have a S, ROWS. That means it is plural, which means this data appears in multiple rows. The data, the segment, appear in multiple rows. If just say I drag this and put it at the column, it appear in multiple column. It appear in multiple columns. So it's not one column, it is columns. So it appear in this column, this column, this column. So if just say I put my segment on the row, it will appear in multiple rows. I put the segment at columns, it appears multiple columns. So it depends on you. But if just say you don't like to drag, you can just click over here and you can just move. Whether you want to move to the values, whether you want to move to the row or filters again. So if you want to move, you can just click and move and so as well. And then what is the role of filter? Basically, filter is to filter data or select data. So just say I select this, I move to the filter, which is over here. So when I move to the filter, so basically I can make a selection. So I can select the data. So I just say I want broadcasting, I press OK. So we have broadcasting. So if just say I select price and I press OK, so we do have price as well. So filter is where we do the selection. It is basically like our slicer as well. So it depends on what you want to select and what not. So this is our selection. Then what is the values? Values is where they do the calculation. So if just say I take the RM, when I take the RM, automatically they will calculate the sum. So they calculate the sum means they will calculate the total. So basically, if just say you want to do a different calculation, maybe you go to value field settings and up to you. You want to select average also can. You want to select the maximum, highest number also can. So maybe I want to do the maximum. So for all, the maximum is 99,000. So if just say I click on broadcasting and I press OK. So of course, broadcasting, we have 99,000. And if just say I click ticket attendance, so ticket attendance, the number changes. So not only you can actually change it over here, you can just press here, right click, and you can go to summarize value by. So instead of max, you can choose sum and whatnot. Okay, it's up to you. And then what you can do is you can just put the year at the rows, because when you tick the year, it will automatically go at the values. So what you need to do is you need to drag it, put it at the rows, so that you have these details over here. So we have this data. And if you remember just now, what I said is, if we want to format our data properly, instead of just right click and clicking on format cell, you need to click on number format. Why you need to click on number format? Because format cells means it will format the specific cell. So in this case, if you really want to choose format cell, you need to highlight the data. But if you don't want to highlight the data, you just want to just right click on a single cell and whatnot, you can go to number format. And when you go to number format, so you can choose any format you want. So maybe I'll choose accounting, no decimal places, and I press OK. So now it's in a proper format. So this is our data and whatnot. So if just say I want to know all, so when I click all, and there you go. So this is our data. So either you want in the form of rows also can, or in the form of column also can. So this column and row is basically on the orientation. Orientation means how you want to present your data. Either it's in a vertical format, landscape, and whatnot. So that is depends on you. And another interesting thing is, like I told you, we can create a presentation as well. So pivot table can do S, A, and P. P is presentation. That means using pivot chart. That means we go to pivot table analyze, we click on pivot chart, and then we can press OK. So now this is the pivot chart and whatnot. So right now what I'll do is I'll just right click on the fill button, because why I need to right click this? I want to remove this because of this button, the charts look so small. So I right click and I press hide all fill. So I press this, so now it looks bigger. And then what I'll do right now is I'll just select this. I put here equal. I select the title. Okay, make sure you select the ages, and then you go to the formula bar and you press equal, and you can select at K1 and press enter. So now it looks all, but of course it's not perfect. Let me show you the magic. So let me press right click and I add a slicer. So now what happened is, if I click broadcasting, the title change to broadcasting. When I click price, the title changes to price. When I click ticket attendance, the title changes ticket attendance. So that is the beauty of pivot table. Of course, if you know if formula, you know other formulas, you can actually amalgamate these formulas and pivot table to create a very fascinating and dynamic presentation to your manager. Okay, no worries. So there's a question in the chat box. Can you please repeat this step? Can you tell me specifically which step? Is it because the title or whatnot? Are you referring to the title, Hania? Is it the title or whatnot? Which step do
You
you
can
want me to repeat?
unmute yourself. Anya, you can unmute yourself and or type.
Okay, so I think it's a title. So you just correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so now I'll just do once more time. So that let me just remove this and let me, okay, yes, about the title. All right, no worries. I'll do it one more time. So that let me just undo, 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 and undo. Okay, so right now, if you look here, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, so how to create an interactive title? What you can do is you select on this total. Okay, bear in mind, you see, when I teach this to my clients and audience, the common mistake what they do is they will try to double click here. Okay, I'm not talking about double clicking on the title. I'm talking about clicking on the ages. You see here, in this chart title, we do have a ages. Ages means the lines. You see here, this is the lines, as you can see. So I'll click on the lines. Once I click on the lines, I will use my mouse. I will hover towards the formula bar. So this is where the formula bar, I put here equal. So when I put equal, and I will select on K1, and then I press enter. So now it looks all. So you can just right click over here and click add a slicer, or you can go to pivot chart analyze and insert slicer. Either way it works. So you can go to pivot chart analyze and insert slicer, or you can right click over here and you want to insert slicer, so can up to you. So I want to click a slicer. So if you notice, our filter is basically the segment. So when I click broadcasting, the title changes to broadcasting. When I click the price, it changes to price. So Hania, did I answer your question? Is this what you're referring to? You can say yes or you can say no if I didn't answer your question. Nevertheless, how about others? Do you all have any questions and whatnot? Okay, so thank you, Anya, for replying back. But I'll just repeat again because the problem is what happened is, maybe let me show you again once more so that everybody can get the picture. Okay, so now again I repeat, what you need to do is you need to click the title. Again I repeat, you click on the title. But don't double click on the words, don't double click on the letters. We are not going to edit the letters. We need to click on the age. You see, this chart title, they have a box. So I want you to click on the lines. You go to your formula bar, use your mouse, go to the formula bar. This area is known as formula bar. Put it over here, equal. And then what you do is you press all and you press enter. So it will become all. And then if they say you want to make a dynamic presentation, you press right click and you go to add as slicer. And then over here, you can just play around. So price, ticket attendance, broadcasting, and there you go. But just to let you know, to be fair and transparent, because I have done corporate presentation. So in corporate presentation, it's not how beautiful is your chart, is whether the data is accurate or not. Because very fundamental important thing in MNCs and companies and whatnot, the data should be correct and you must have the ability to communicate the story behind the numbers. Meaning to say, when I click price, you will notice we have data for 2021, we have data for 2023. So your manager will be wondering why we don't have any data for 2022. So being an analyst, we must be able to communicate why there is no data in 2022. And one more thing, you see here, when I click ticket attendance, yes, the title changes. When I click broadcasting, yes, the title changes. But when I click on clear filter, you see the title is all. You see, sometimes in corporate presentation, they are quite, managers, okay, different countries have different managers, different cultures, but some managers are quite particular with the title, with the wording, spelling, and grammar. So how to actually overcome this? So I don't want the all and bracket. Maybe I want something like, overall revenue or whatnot. So how to do this? Well, if you know if formula, you can try this. So what I'll do is I will copy this and I'll paste it over here. And what I'll do is I'll put here equal if. So if this all is equivalent to this all over here, then I'll put a double apostrophe overall revenue. Otherwise, I'll just follow whatever showed over here. Because when I click broadcasting, here will show broadcasting. When I click price, here also will show price. So if just say all is equals to all, it shows overall revenue. Otherwise, it will follow this data over here. So I press enter. So when I click ticket attendance, this data changes. When I click price, this data changes. When I clear filter, it becomes all. So when all is equal to all, it becomes overall revenue. So what I'll do is I will select this equal to overall revenue. So now it looks better. Okay, so when you click broadcasting, it shows the broadcasting. And if you want to put sentence and whatnot, that is up to you. Of course, that is too advanced. In fact, for some, it's already too overwhelming because too many formulas and whatnot. But I'm just going to show you the picture and so on. Okay, but the topic for today is understanding pivot table. So at least you get some imagination, expectation, presumption on what pivot table can offer. It can create analysis, it can create summary, and it can create a presentation as well. So my friends, do you understand? If you understand, can you type number 5 in the chat box? If you understand, you can just type number 5 in the chat box. Maybe for some it's quite too fast or too overwhelming. I don't know. It depends on you. But no worries. We are just learning together. Together we can learn and whatnot. Because pivot table, there's a lot of things, a lot of exciting features and whatnot. So we will try to cover until level 5. So what about level 6, level 7, level 8? Well, this is up to you. You can explore on your own. But just to let you know, we will cover until level 5. So that I will make sure that not only you are overwhelmed with too many information, but at least you can understand, you can remember, and more importantly, you can apply for your work tomorrow onwards or in your upcoming job and whatnot. So now let us go to level 3. So level 3 is an interesting case because what I'm going to teach in this particular topic is grouping. So what I'll do is maybe I'll just go to this data. I'll just copy these notes and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so I'll paste it over here. So now this is the data. So like I told you, what you need to do is place your active cell on the table. But the difference is we are not going to use mouse. So we also, because when it comes to Excel, we do have a diversified audience. There are audience who love to use mouse. There are audience who love to use keyboard shortcut. So if you are okay, you are comfortable with using mouse, because I also have clients, have 10 years of experience, 20 years of work experience. They have been using mouse. They feel comfortable to use mouse. It's up to you. But if you are a fan of keyboard shortcut, so after you press Ctrl A, you can just press alternate and V and T. Alternate and VT. But bear in mind, This one, it depends on what version. If you are using 2016, it's a bit different. But if you're using Excel 2019, 2021 or 365, it's alternate NVT. But when I say this alternate NVT, you must press the button one by one. Okay, not together, but one by one. Like you see, when you press Control A, you are pressing the Control and A together. But alternate NVT is you're pressing one by one. Okay, so let us try together so that you can get an understand. So number one is place your active cell on the table over here. And then you press Control A. Control A means it will highlight the entire table. So if you're a fan of using mouse, no worries, you can still use mouse. You can click insert and you can click pivot table. But if you feel you prefer to use keyboard shortcut, you can try alternate and VT. One by one, not together, not simultaneously, is one by one. So alternate, leave your hand and then you press and you press V and you press T. Okay, so alternate and V T. So T and then automatically a box will appear. So for those who understand, you can try alternate and VT. But for those you find that this is quite confusing, overwhelming, no worries. You can still try your mouse as well. Okay, so a box will appear. You press OK, so you'll go to a new sheet. So like I told you, if just say you tick the age, automatically it will go at the values. So what I want to do is I want to find the number of attendees for each age. So I put the age at the row and I tick the number of attendees. So here we do have the age and the respective attendees, the number of attendees and whatnot. So now if you look here carefully, we do have pivot table analyze. So under the pivot table analyze, can you see, is there a section called group selection? If you can see this, maybe can you type number 6 in the chat box? Can you see it over here? Is there a group selection? If you can see, can you type number 6? Okay, I'm just moving around, hovering around. So let me know if you can see. Okay, so just bear in mind, my dear friends, can we click on group selection? Well, we can't. Why we can't click on group selection? Because our active cell is located on A3. If we put our active cell over here or anywhere over here, we still not able to access to the group selection. So what you need to do is you must put your cursor or active cell on the row data. When you put it on the row data somewhere around here, then only you can access to the group selection. Again, I repeat, if you put it at row label, you can't group it. You put it at sum of attendees, you can't group it. You put it at the values, you still can't group it. You must put it at the rows data. So the row data like the age, then only you can access to the group selection. Either option 1, alternative 1 is you use your mouse and click it over here, or you can just right click and you can go to group. Like what I showed you in the previous example. You can right click and go to group, or you can actually go over here. You can actually go over here. So up to you. Okay, it depends on you where you want to go. So either you can want to right click or you want to go to group selection also can. So if just say you want to go over here, you will notice that a box will appear. So the moment when you click group selection, automatically a box will appear. So it will start at 11 years old and at 18 years old. Of course, at the end is 18 years old. And what is by 10? Okay, by 10 means it will group 10 age into one group. So when I press OK, so basically it will group 10 different age into one group. That means 11 years old to 20 years old, one group. 21 years old to 30 years old, one group. 31 years old to 40 years old, one group. So this is grouping on based on the age. Or you can just press right click. And then what you can do is you can just group it. So maybe instead of just say by 10, you can actually group it by 20. So you put here 20 and press enter. So it will group the 20 numbers into one group, like 11 to 30, 31 to 50, and whatnot. Or if just say you want to start the grouping at a different age, that means you press right click. So the moment you press right click, you can actually go to group. So once you press group, you will notice that a box will appear. So if just say you want to start the grouping at 18, so the grouping will start from 18 years old. So once it starts from 18 years old, what you do is you press OK. So when you press OK, so now you'll notice it changes. So you will start the grouping from 18 years old, and we can actually determine who is the underage attendees. And if just see, because pivot table, not only we need to prepare, sometimes as a senior executive, as a manager, we can use pivot table to understand the data. If we look over here, we have about 575 underage attendees. So what we can use is, we can use our mouse and double click on the underage. Double click on the 757. So we can use our mouse and double click it. So over here, we have all the underage attendees. So your manager, you can investigate why this company is bringing underage attendees to the stadium and whatnot. So again, I repeat how I did it is, you just have to double click. That means when you double click on the, over here, double click, you can get the details and whatnot. So we can use pivot table not only to prepare it, but also to understand and analyze it. Okay. All right. So now we have already understand this. So we learn about grouping, but we can also learn grouping on football club as well. So for example, I just want to group the football clubs. So if just say I click specifically on Manchester City. See, when I click Manchester City, I go to pivot table analyze and I click group selection. You will notice that you will have an error. Okay. Maybe I'm going too fast. What I need to do is I need to slow down. That means what I do is I will click on Manchester City. After I click Manchester City, under the pivot table analyze, I will go to group selection. So once I click on group selection, you will notice that we are not able to group. Even if just say I right click and I press group, still you have error. Why? Because this is a text. When it's a number or when it's a month, it's a different story. When it's a number or date, it is a different story. When it is a text, you need to highlight more than one. When you highlight more than one, if you see here, I'm highlighting more than one, Manchester City and Manchester United. So I can press right click and I can press group. So when I press like that, automatically it will group the data. So when it comes to words, letter, alphabet or text, you must highlight more than one. For example, I select Liverpool, I press Control, I select Everton. So if you see here, I'm highlighting Liverpool and I'm highlighting Everton. So when I select group selection, automatically these two become a group. So when it comes to letter, alphabet, text or words, you must highlight more than one data. Okay, so just to recap what we learned in level 1, we learned that pivot table can do S, A and P, whereby S is for summary, A for analysis, P for presentation. When I say summary, there are many ways actually. In fact, there are thousands ways to create a summary. But what I show you is whether you want to produce a monthly report, quarterly report, or even a weekly report. When it comes to analysis, I taught you all on allocation. I also taught you all on trending. And also I taught you all on the cumulative as well. Presentation, we use pivot chart and slicer, okay, to create a dynamic presentation. This is what I taught you in level 1. Level 2, what I taught you all in level 2 is basically a basic thing to actually understand what is filter, what are rows, what are columns, what are values, and even I told you that this data is basically a text, a word, a letter, an alphabet. But this data over here is numbers. So there's a difference between values, numbers, and also text and whatnot. And we also managed to create a pivot chart. Okay, pivot chart with an interactive title. What I mean by interactive title, that means if just say I go to my level 2, you see here, this is what they call as title. So when I click price, it changes. When I click clear filter, it changes. So we use if formula in this case. So this is what we covered just now. Okay, and level 3, what we learn is basically we learn about grouping data in pivot table. Okay, we learn about grouping data and whatnot. So I believe, I hope that is not overwhelming in the span of 1 hour, but I hope you can also digest another two more exercise so that you can actually understand how beautiful is pivot table. And of course, there is new formulas and whatnot. But once you understand this, then you can actually appreciate what is the other formulas and so on. So now let us go to level 4 to understand about pivot table. So if you look over here in this particular data, what we do have is we actually have departments, we do have expenses, we do have forecasted expenses, we also have actual expenses as well. Okay, again I repeat, right now I'm in level 4. Level 4 presents us a simple accounting data. So if you have friends work in finance, or some people will use the word finance, finance, accounting. Of course, this one we do have departments like a CEO office, accounting, HR, assembly department, and whatnot. Also, we do have the respective operating expenses, or some people will use the word OPEX or expenses like salaries, entertainment, and then training expenses. We have the budgeted or forecasted expenses. We also have the actual expenses. So what we want to do is we want to create two pivot table. Okay, two pivot table over here. One pivot table is basically to show the actual expenses. Another pivot table, what we want to learn is we want to calculate the variance. Okay, variance is a technical word. In accounting language, variance is basically the difference. Difference of what? Difference of forecasted and actual. So we'll create two different pivot table so that you can actually learn more about this pivot table and whatnot. So let's get started. So I'll just copy all these. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here. So what I'll do is I put my active cell on the table. I press Ctrl A. So when I press Ctrl A, it will highlight the entire table. Then I use my mouse. I click insert. I click pivot table. Once I click pivot table, a box will appear, and then what I'll do is I'll press OK, and then you will navigate to a new worksheet, and then I press OK, and there you go. So one pivot table, I want to show the actual expenses. So I will tick the department and I will tick the actual expenses. So this is how we do it. But of course, if I zoom it over here, of course, you can't appreciate the numbers. What I'll do is I'll press here, right click, and I'll go to number format, and I'll put it number. You want to put number so can. You want to put accounting format so can. Up to you. It's just the same, more or less same. So I'll put 1000 separator, remove the decimal, and press OK. So now this is what it looks like. It looks better. But there is one thing that I want to teach everybody on this topic. You see here, this is what some mistakes made by some employees and whatnot. They will highlight all the data. Okay, they will highlight all this data. So let me show you again. So if you just say they highlight all these, and they want to sort. They want to sort from largest to smallest because they want to present this to the CEO office. They want to present to the CFO office to show that which department has occurred the highest expenses. So what happened is, if just say in this context, what really happened is, if just say I press right click and I go to sort, can I press the sort largest to smallest? Do you see here, can I press this? If you think I can press this, can you type yes? If you think I cannot press this, can you type no in the chat box? Do you think can I press this, my friends? Okay, this is a common mistake. What happened is they highlight until bottom and then they go to sort. They are not able to click this. Okay, why we cannot click this? Okay, maybe some of us say that because we highlight the grand total. Okay, maybe let me try to highlight all this except for the grand total. Okay, I highlight all except for the grand total. So I press right click. I go to sort. I'm still not able to sort this. Okay, so this is one thing, a common mistake. So what happened is when you highlight more than one data, meaning to say when you just highlight, just say more than one. When you highlight more than one, right click and you sort, you are not able to sort. That's the thing. You are not able to sort when you highlight more than one numbers. So what you need to do is you select any number. You want to select the top, you want to select the middle or the lowest, up to you. You select anywhere, right click, sort, smallest to largest as you can. It will show the smallest, the company, that the department that incurs the lowest expenses, or you want to show largest as smallest as you can. So you show like this, automatically it will arrange from the largest number to the smallest number. So again, I repeat, if just say you select like this, right click, and then when you sort, you can't sort. You can't sort over here because we are highlighting more than one. But if just say you select one, right click, and then you sort, then you can possible. Either you want to sort largest to smallest, smallest to largest also can. Okay, so now what I want to show you, because we want to show that pivot table basically it can create a presentation. So let me show you another active value over here. Of course, we don't have this data. So what I'll do is I'll remove this. And then what I'll do is I will try to go to home. Under home, we do have conditional formatting. Click conditional formatting, click data bar, and I can choose any color I want. But of course, the problem is right now we do have these numbers over here. Okay, this number is not necessary. So what I'll do is I will highlight all the numbers again because I only want the data. I only want the bar. So I go to conditional formatting. I click manage rule. And then after that, I click edit rule. I will click on show bar only. So show bar only means it will make sure that the bar only appear. That means not the numbers, the bar only appear. So show bar only. So I'll just change to a different color and I press enter. Okay, so click this and I'll press OK. And okay, so now it looks better. So of course, if you just say you don't want this, you can just go to design and you do not just off for row and column. So now it looks better. Of course, if you don't want this name, you can just put here actual expenses and you can put here performance. Okay, you can do like this. But if you just say you don't want this blue color, because by default, pivot table will choose this color, blue color and whatnot. So what I'll do is I'll choose a different color, maybe something like this, which you can actually share to your manager. So pivot table is not about analyzing, it also about presentation as well. And one more thing, like what I told you, I also want to create another pivot table. So I press Ctrl A, copy, and I'll paste over here. So we can actually copy and paste pivot table. And this time what I want to do is I want to actually remove this performance and I want to put remove. I put actual and I put forecasted and actual so that we have a forecasted expenses and the actual expenses. So we have here forecasted. So let me just right click, number format, number, use separator and remove decimal places. I'll do the same also, right click, number format. You can put currency or whatnot. It's just the same. And yes, there you go. So now it looks better. So if just say in pivot table, we can also create a calculation in the form of calculated field. So what we can do is we go to pivot table analyze. So under the pivot table analyze, we do have field item set. So what we do is we click on field item set and we click on calculate field. So even pivot table also can do some calculation. So what calculation I want to do is I want to find the difference between forecast and actual. So I click here calculated field, a box will appear. So here the name is I want to put here variance. So variance is a technical word. In a layman term means variance is actually the difference between forecast and actual. Okay, so I'll just rename as variance and I will remove the zero. I have removed the zero. So what I'll do is I will select the forecasted expenses, click on insert field, minus actual expenses, click insert field, and then I press add and I press OK. So right now we do have here the variance. So when I can press right click over here, I can go to sort. Maybe I want to put largest to smallest. So from here we can understand which department is performing. That means this department is underspent. Underspent means the actual is lesser than forecast. But this department all is overspent. Overspend means they spend more than from what they budgeted. And not only that, we can also create another formula, field item set, which is over under the pivot table analyze, calculate field. You can put your percentage and then you can remove the zero. You can select the variance, insert, divided by forecasted expenses, insert, press add, press OK. So right now you have this data, of course, in the form of numbers. So you can press here, right click. You can go to number format and you can choose percentage and you press OK. So there you go. Now this is the data. And then of course you can actually remove the sum of. So you press Ctrl H. So you find here sum of and here replace with replace all. So there you go. So now you don't have the sum of and whatnot. And if you want to put it at the center also can, up to you. Okay, so that's the thing about pivot table. It can create a presentation. It can do some analysis and whatnot. Okay, so my friends, did you learn something new? If you learned something new, can you type number 7 in the chat box? Okay, so let us do for the final exercise. So basically pivot table, like what I showed earlier, we can actually show a different kind of calculation, whether we want to know the expensive car for each brand or we want to know the cheapest car for each brand, we can do it in pivot table as well. Like what you can see over here, we have car model, car manufacturer, the details of the car and the price of the car. So what I want to do is I want to use this pivot table to determine the expensive price of each cars, the expensive price of each car models or each car manufacturer. So what I'll do is I'll just copy my notes over here and I'll paste it over here. So the first thing is I will put my cursor on active cell on the table, Control A, go to insert, pivot table, and then a box will appear. Press OK. I will just tick on car manufacturer. Like I told you, car manufacturer is a text. It's an alphabet. So automatically when you tick, it will appear as a rows. And then if just say you tick the price, automatically it will go to the values. So here, if just say you want to know the expensive price for each car, what you can do is you can actually press here, right click, summarize value by, you can go to max. Max means highest. So you can show the expensive price for each car. So you go to max. So there you go. And you can just actually right click. You can go to sort largest to smallest. Okay, again I repeat, because if just say you highlight more than one and you right click, you are not able to sort. So what you need to do is you only select one number, right click, sort largest to smallest. And then if just say you want in the thousand separator, right click, number format, number, and you tick the thousand separator and then you press OK. So from here, what we can understand is the expensive price is Lamborghini. Okay, so we have the price and whatnot. But this is in Ringgit Malaysia, not in US dollar, in Ringgit Malaysia. Ringgit Malaysia is basically the currency used in Malaysia and whatnot. All right, so my friends, do you understand? We have covered level 1, we have covered level 2, level 3, 4, and 5. I believe it's overwhelming, but at the same time, I believe this is about understanding pivot table, how pivot table can offer and whatnot. So yeah, over to you, Crispo. I have covered level 1 to level 5. So yeah, now I think it's Q&A session, right, Crispo? Because I've presented 1 to 5. So if our friends have any questions, they can type in the chat box. Or do they find very overwhelming or confusing?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm enjoying this so much. I wish you can go up to level 20. But I know we don't have time on our side. Before, if the other person asks, you can unmute yourself or you can type on the chat box. My question is, I saw you doing calculated fields on the pivot table. What would you recommend? You do a calculated field on the source data or a calculated field on the pivot table? What do you tell your students? What do you recommend?
Oh, my recommendation, actually it depends on the data, because if you want to do calculated fill on the pivot
Mm.
table itself, it will be good, because you don't, because sometimes what really happen, maybe I'll just share screen again. Okay, sometimes what happen is, just to share with you, some cases what happen is they have a very long data. So I do see cases whereby they will just do manually, like for example B15 minus on C15, and then after that they will try to drag down and whatnot. The problem is pivot table, sometimes when we choose slicer, the data changes. Okay, the rows, certain rows appears and whatnot. So these will, the data over here will be affected. It depends, to answer your question, it is actually dependent on the data. You can also try like this, not an issue, or you can try in the original source
Yeah.
data, which is over here also can, because you can just click a refresh or you can just change the data source. But over here also you can do, it's up to you, depending on the data.
Okay. Okay. Because actually, what I recommend is that your data source should be a table.
Yes,
If you are going
correct.
to create any calculated field, then you should just create a calculated field on the source data, and then you
Yeah.
just go refresh. You add it on your pivot table and you refresh. I don't know why I prefer that, but also your way
Understand, makes
works
sense.
also.
Yeah, yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So you can
yeah,
just change over here. So maybe I put here E, and yeah. So you can have another variance too, like this, right?
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
changing. Oh,
Then
makes sense, makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Um, Sukanya is asking, will continue the rest of the levels on another day? What would you say to that?
I mean, it depends on the audience if they have that energy to learn and so on. I leave it to the audience. Of course, they decide. It's their attendance that makes a big difference to the session.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I feel I don't know. I feel we should continue maybe next Sunday, or you give us another date when you are available. But very enjoyable session. Martin is asking, do you email these sessions? Yes,
Yeah,
we
I think
email if
I'll
you have.
save this. What I'll do
Yeah,
is I'll just save it right now. So this one is mastering pivot table. I'll put it as after. Okay, so this
yeah.
is after, and I put here 13. After 13, yeah, today's date is 13. Okay, so yes, I'll save this. I'll send this file personally to Crispo, and Crispo can send to them.